In a desert-covered nation of the Middle East, there's a city that brings unexpected hues of pink and green to the sandy landscape. Taif is known as the City of Roses. The AFP news agency reports that there are about 300 million of the fragrant flowers in bloom in this part of western Saudi Arabia. They're produced by 800 different flower farms, and in the milder weather of spring, workers appear in droves to hand-pick the roses, laboring from first light to the dark of night. The flowers aren't just valued for their color. Rose water is used to wash the walls in part of the Grand Mosque in Mecca. Tourists to Saudi Arabia take home the rare perfume made from Taif roses. One grower says there's not enough of them to meet the demand in his country alone, and he adds they're vulnerable to changes in the weather. The extreme cold of the past couple of years meant few, or in some cases, no roses to harvest. This season has been moderate, though, making it more comfortable for the 80-year-old to join his workers as they pick tens of thousands of the beautiful buds each harvest day. If anyone now has that song by Sting stuck in your head, you're not alone. I'm Carl Azus for The World from A to Z, means the world to see you. On several occasions, we've covered the concerns of experts, researchers, parents, politicians, and doctors about the impact of social media on young people's mental health. Now we're hearing from teenagers themselves. The Pew Research Center just released the results of a survey it took last fall. 74% of teens said social media make them feel more connected to their friends, and more than 60% said they give them an outlet for their creativity. However, almost half said social media have a mostly negative effect on other teenagers. That figure was 32% in 2022. And as far as upsides go, 11% said social had a mostly positive effect on teens. That figure was 24% in 2022. So their attitudes toward this have changed, though when it comes to their personal experiences, 14% said social hurt them, significantly fewer than those concerned about their peers. In the survey, 58% said these media don't affect them one way or another, though many are increasingly concerned about the amount of time they're spending on it.
Word knowledge. What U.S. state was the first to ban cell phone use in its schools? Florida, Illinois, California, Louisiana. It was in 2023 that students were prohibited from using their phones during class time in Florida.
Some of your thoughts on that very subject are next. In response to Monday's show, Mrs. Herb from Gregg Middle School said a majority there believed phones should not be accessed during class time, but should be allowed at other times. Miss Naughton at John Marshall Metropolitan High, where phones aren't allowed, says 2/3 of her students think everyone should have them because of safety. 1/3 think they'd be a distraction if they were allowed. Miss Samuels at East Coweta High says new students at her school noted that others there weren't as social with each other as those in schools where there's a ban. Springfield Clark Career Technology Center, where Mr. Hill teaches, has a phone ban, and he says students there are largely against it, arguing for balanced restrictions that address both their concerns and the school's priorities. On this date in world history. April 24th, 1183 BC. This is believed to have been the date when the Trojan War ended. The legend goes that Greek forces pretended to retreat from the fortified city of Troy, leaving behind only a wooden horse as an offering. After it was brought inside the city, though, Greek troops emerged from inside the horse at night, launched a surprise attack, and helped bring about the fall of Troy. On this date of the year 1800, U.S. President John Adams signed a law that set aside $5,000 for, quote, such books as may be necessary for the use of Congress. He said it just like that, too. Those would be the first books bought for the Library of Congress, which now contains tens of millions of books and maps today. And on this date in 1898, Spain declared war on the United States after the U.S. Congress voted to support Cuban independence from Spain. The Spanish-American War lasted less than 8 months, was a lopsided American victory, and resulted in the U.S. gaining new territory in the Caribbean and Pacific.
A recent revisiting of a famous World War II shipwreck revealed new secrets. The site of the USS Yorktown, an aircraft carrier that sank in the Pacific Ocean in 1942, has been visited by NOAA explorers before, but a recent remote rover revisit ventured into the ship's unexplored aft hangar deck. There, the crew spotted a mysterious vintage vehicle buried in the silt. It was tentatively identified as a 1940s-era Ford Super Deluxe Woody, similar to the one seen here. But what was it doing there? A prevailing theory suggests the car could have been used by high-ranking officials for foreign port business. Additionally, the rover's camera spotted a beautiful hand-painted map mural hidden inside one of the Yorktown's elevator shafts. The massive 42 by 12 foot painting appeared to chronicle the world travels of the intrepid carrier, which continues to reveal military maritime mysteries galore.
We've got merch, y'all! You can now buy the shirt off my back. Well, not this exact shirt, but a new one just like it, along with hoodies, tote bags, coffee mugs. The official World from A to Z store is now open at worldatozorg/store. It'll help spread the word about just how awesome Fridays are. worldatozorg/store.
Where in the world? Originally established as a kingdom in 1217, this nation is now a parliamentary republic located in southeastern Europe. It was once unified with Montenegro but became separated from it in 2006. Its capital is Belgrade. This is Serbia, a nation of more than 6.5 million people.
In Volia, Serbia, you'll see walkers, dancers, and soccer players, but with a bit of a twist. Here, all that's done on stilts. Radomir Davidovic grew up walking on stilts, and he still goes on elevated walks with his friends a decade after he reached retirement age. Villagers once used stilts to get around on difficult terrain.
It is our tradition going back 100 or even 200 years. They were not walking on stilts for fun. They did it for practical reasons, to cross the rivers. They kept stilts on the riverbanks so that every time they needed to walk across, they had them at hand.
Stilts eventually lost their practical use as more and more people stepped away from farm work to do other jobs. But stilts remain ingrained in the village's culture.
You are unlikely to find a youngster in Valuja who does not know how to walk on stilts. It is an attraction. The kids enjoy keeping our old tradition.
Traditionally, stilts were made with wood from the forest, using rope for the footholds.
Nowadays, we go to a carpenter to make us something similar. Not fully authentic, but serving the same purpose.
Stilt walking is promoted by the local folk art society, but it is also practiced at the village school as a part of PE classes. And during festivals, the students join their elders in traditional circle dances, all on stilts, of course. To add even more of a challenge to an already difficult skill, the village kids started playing soccer with them. And of course, it's usually boys versus girls. They've had lots of practice, but there's still a lot of falling over. Still, each team respects the other's commitment to the sport.
Honestly, if you ask me, the girls are better. It is true that we are all good. We all play well. But the girls are a bit better.
This is one culture's heritage that's still standing.
We have pirates on 2 different U.S. coasts today. First, from the New Jersey township of Cinnaminson, which is really fun to say, the pirates are watching from Mr. Forney's class at Cinnaminson Middle School. They're in the Garden State. Then, from the Golden State of California, more pirates setting sail from Stevenson College and Career Prep. Hello to Mrs. Robles' class in Los Angeles. Jumping back east, we land in St. Augustine, Florida, where the Falcons in Mr. Ray's class are with us. Hello to our friends at Pedro Mendez High School in the Sunshine State. The small city of Strawberry Point, Iowa calls itself the sweetest place to grow. It's also said to be home to the world's largest strawberry, at least the world's largest strawberry made out of fiberglass. And it was returned to its parks recently after a bit of renovation. The big bold berry, which is 15 feet tall and around 60 years old, got a fresh coat of paint. And while some might have razzed the idea, seeing red and saying it doesn't seem like a very growth-oriented beautification project amid the city's current needs, preserving it might have been a pie-in-the-sky short cakewalk to deliver a fruitful attraction. Plus, those critics are just jelly. This is The World from A to Z. I'm Carl Izzers.